Welcome Creative Cutter friends. Today I've got a quick card to share with you, and I made my card using the 6x6 Authentique paper pad. It's not a paper pad color scheme that I thought I would like, but I wanted to give it a shot and challenge myself to try something just a little different for myself. And it turns out I really loved it. So because this isn't a color scheme that I have a lot of or products to go with it, what I wanted to do is challenge myself to do a little stamping. So I incorporated these Stampin' Up! Stamps that I have when I was a demonstrator clear back in 1999. It was called Rainy Days, and it came with a little boy, little girl, and a couple of little small stamps that were just kind of accessories. So today I'm going to show you the card I made using the little girl. I will be making one with the little boy. And if anybody would like a stamp sheet of these, because I don't know if Stampin' Up! Still has these, I'm happy to make you a stamping strip like this so that you can make yourself, 3 or 4 cards here with this cute stamp set. So to begin, what I did was I took one of the pieces of the paper that I thought would inspire me, and so this is out of that paper pad, and then I took that over to my scrap drawer and then found a couple of pieces of coordinating cardstock. And you can see if I take just a little sample piece of what I want to work with and put that up against some of the scraps in my scrap drawer, that you can find just some really great blends and mixes, and in this case what I think are some perfect matches. So in order to start my card, I first stamped my image, and I've got here the stamping sheet that I created. There's the little boy one I was telling you about. But here's the little girl one, and I wanted to challenge myself to use some of these nestability dies. They're called the large deckled rectangles. And I used the second and third square, so the 2 center pieces. And once I stamped my image, I placed it around there with some Scotch tape to hold it in place and ran that through my Cuttlebug machine to cut it out. Now to cut on your Cuttlebug, for those of you that have that, you need to use your A plate, your C plate, then place the die with the image, the embossed image up, so like that, your paper on there, and in my case I taped it, and then you want to put your B plate on top and run that through. Now because this deckled image has an option to emboss, you then get your little embossing tan pad like this that Spellbinder sells, and so to emboss it you would then do your A plate, your die facing up still, and you'll probably just leave it right where it cut, and your tan mat, and then you need 2 to 3 pieces of just extra cardstock and 2 of your B plates on top to be able to emboss that. So I then colored my image, and I'm new to the Copic thing. I haven't been Copic certified, so I'm just kind of playing around and trying to see how best these Copic markers work for me, and I hope that's zooming in okay. But I really do like Copic markers, and the main reason is that you can coordinate your image beautifully with whatever paper you want to use that with. So in my case, because I don't have a lot of these colors, I simply took a stamp set that I have and made it coordinate. So I used to think it was funny when I looked at Copic sites how they always had like 15 markers and they colored one little teeny image. Well, that there's a reason for that, and now I understand it. And it's because of all the blending that you have to do to get good detailing and highlighting and shadowing on your image. So like I said, I'm a beginner, so I haven't done a lot of it, but these are all the markers that I've used to go ahead and emboss and cut that out. And then I just cut myself an orange matting to fit between that one and then the next size up of the decal square. So this would be one size, this would be one size up, and to me it kind of got lost on that square, so I just added a coordinating color here in between the sandwich pieces. And I did go ahead and ink the edges of the white cardstock and of this kind of tealy cardstock. And then I went ahead and cut my card. So I found a piece, and this ended up being, when you make the card, it ends up being 5.5 in height and then 11 in length, so that you can fold it in half, and this would be 4.25. So it is a side folding one. You could just as easily have done it this way, but I'll begin with my card. So I'm just going to use some my Tombow here just to be quick. So I'm going to place just a strip, and I'm not giving out measurements because this will really just depend on your scrap pieces and your supplies. And you can see this is about, because my card is about 4¼ inches, these two pieces are about 4 inches. And I'm just going to spread those so that they match where I want them to on the edge. Now I am going to ink this just a little bit, this pattern piece. And I've just got a Martha Stewart stack of inks. And usually if you buy a little cat's eye stack like this, you've got quite a few colors to play with. And as you can see on this one, you've got a few shades within a color scheme. So chances of finding something that will work are really good. Sorry about the big ATG here. Oops. I hope you're not getting too bad a glare on this glass top. I hadn't thought about that when I thought about protecting the table. Now on that gap right there, I'm just going to use some ribbon, and this is American Crafts Lacy ribbon. And I'm going to go all the way around the card. So start on the inside. I'm just going to estimate right there for a second. Now, for those of you that are used to making cards, you know, a really good tip for working with cards is to have a piece of Scotch tape handy. So I'm just going to grab, oops, sorry about that. I'm just going to grab a piece here and tape these ends together. Okay, so I'm just going to, and you can barely see that, but I just wanted to clean up that seam right there. Okay, then I'm going to get my first piece down, and this is the larger of the two squares. I really apologize about that huge ATG gun. And I'm just going to kind of center that in the brown and lay that down. Now I did find another strip of brown, and I'm just going to place that across there into the edge of the card. Now I hadn't thought of this before, but I think just tearing those edges might make it look just a little nicer because of the deckled edge on the square. So I'm going to try it. If I don't like it, I'll just put another strip of scrap in there. So I don't have any fancy technique for ripping. I know if you like it perfect, you can lay your ruler down across here and rip up against the ruler, but I kind of want the messy edge. So what I do is I just use this thumb as a guide, and then I use this other thumb to kind of tear against it. And that gets me kind of the straight line I want. And if it breaks off, that's okay. Just keep going. And that messy look can sometimes be fun. So that reduced my piece kind of significantly, but it's okay. I'm going to still go ahead. I'm just going to use a couple of glue dots, especially because there's a little bit lighter brown that kind of comes up when you tear that. So that's what I've got so far. Oops, I didn't get a glue dot there. Okay. Let me get one more glue dot. Okay, so I'm put that end to end. Okay, so the next piece that I would get on this would be the orange, and I think before I mount that orange, I'm just going to put some tape on there, some foam tape to give it a little bit of a lift. Now my foam tape comes in bulk, and as you can see it's pretty thin, but it allows me to cut the pieces that I like in whatever width I need. So I'm just going to use 2. Oops. Let's get that to stay there. Okay, I'm going to use 2 pieces, and then I'm going to center this orange. Now you notice I did not ink the orange because I really don't think it needs that, but I did ink this piece, and actually what I did is I used a little bit of orange ink, and the colors didn't quite match with the Copic, and so I used a water brush to kind of fade it out a little bit, and then I added just a brown line with my Tombow. Now this Tombow did run just a little bit, so you have to be careful how close to the edge you are for the little bit of running that the ink does do. I'm going to just take, I have a big strip like this, and I'm just going to take probably 3 pearls here, and these came joined together but I think I'm going to put those right there. And for My Creative Time, Emma over at My Creative Time is sponsoring some of my upcoming challenges, and I happen to have the stamp set already and wanted to use it for something besides Valentine's Day. So I'm going to use one of the sentiments from here. Okay, now if you have, this is just a mouse that I'm using, but you can use if you buy some stamps, acrylic stamp sets from some of those door-to-door companies, you get a little pad to stamp on with your acrylic stamp sets. It's nice to have a soft surface to stamp against. That kind of gives the acrylic stamp enough pressure so that you don't skip any lines. But I'm just going to use this mouse pad for mine. So there's my sentiment, 100% sweetness. And I'm going to add that to my card here and show you the finished product on my website. So hope you like this quick. I do like to finish off the inside, so I will show you the finished inside piece as well as a bow that I'm going to add here to the top on my website. So visit www.creativecutterroom.com. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye now. Okay, I'm going to add a bow to that card with that same lace. So I want to show you real quick how I use my bow maker to do that. I'm going to hold that piece of lace on with my right hand, and starting from the front, I'm going to wrap that around the back. I'm going to tuck that underneath the bottom so that I can come over top of both those pieces. Okay, and then I'm just going to center that knot and trade hands. I'm going to hold the top piece with my right hand and the bottom piece with my left hand. I'm going to make a little loop here so that I can pull that piece of ribbon up from the bottom. And then as I tighten this for the knot, I'm going to straighten my ribbon so that it will lay the way that I want it to. So, and then I'm going to wiggle that so that the knot, or that center of the bow, is right dead center between the two pegs. So there's my finished bow. I'm going to take that off and add that to my card.